Imagine the tension of a courtroom where a wife, once loyal and promising to stand by her husband, suddenly takes the witness stand and points directly at him. In the early days of questioning, she had told him that she loved him, that she wouldn't give in to pressure, and that the two of them would get through everything together. Yet when the trial began, that vow of solidarity evaporated. The very same woman who once whispered comfort now stood before the judge and jury, describing her husband not as a partner, but as someone responsible for the unimaginable. With tears in her eyes, her testimony painted a picture of betrayal and loss, leaving the man only feet away visibly shaken as the narrative turned against him. This dramatic shift wasn't just shocking to those in attendance. It became the defining moment of the trial, as the courtroom watched promises of devotion collapse into accusations of cruelty. But what she didn't anticipate was how quickly this tactic would shift the course of the proceedings. For hours, the courtroom listened as lawyers picked apart timelines, examined decisions, and revealed the underlying tensions in the couple's life. What had once appeared as a family rooted in tradition and faith was now revealed to be fractured by distrust, secrecy, and deeply different views on how to live and care for their children. The case carried heavy emotion not only because of the couple's personal choices, but because of the devastating loss of their infant daughter, whose tragic passing raised difficult questions about responsibility, neglect, and whether devotion to certain beliefs can cross the line into danger. The husband, Seth Welch, had long been outspoken in his rural Michigan community about his skepticism of doctors and reliance on faith, while his wife, Tatiana Fusari, was seen as reserved and quiet, rarely offering her own perspective. That silence became a crucial element in the trial when she finally spoke out, her words carrying a weight that cut through the courtroom like a blade. By the time closing arguments ended, the atmosphere was charged with disbelief and sorrow, and when the judge returned with the verdict, it left everyone stunned, a reminder that in the search for truth, loyalty can vanish, trust can fracture, and justice can unravel even the tightest bonds.
You're both charged with what they call felony murder. It is life without parole. It requires a DNA sample to be taken upon arrest. They're alleging you knowingly or intentionally caused serious physical harm to a child. They're talking about this Mary Welch. It is a felony, possible penalty of up to life imprisonment or any term of years less than life.
That single 911 call marked the beginning of a trial that would soon grip all of Michigan. Investigators concluded that baby Mary's passing had not been sudden, but instead the tragic result of prolonged neglect. The details painted a heartbreaking picture, and prosecutors moved swiftly, charging both parents, Seth Welch and Tatiana Fusari, with first-degree child abuse and felony murder, setting the stage for an unforgettable courtroom battle.
He got mad at me because I wouldn't let him sleep. So he asked me what the wrong with me, and he rolled over to face me, and he He rolled over to face me and he started punching me in the face. And then I tried to roll over onto my right side to face the wall so he would just leave the front side of me alone, but he put his weight on me. I need everyone to know the truth. I'm tired of being afraid. My fear has not helped to anything. I just don't want to be afraid anymore.
Both parents now faced the possibility of life in prison, but the trial took a dramatic turn when it was Tatiana Fusari's turn to testify. Rather than standing beside her husband, she broke ranks in a stunning move that shifted the entire courtroom atmosphere. On the stand, she described life inside their home as one dominated by fear and control, portraying Seth as the one who dictated every decision. She claimed he barred her from seeking medical care for their daughter and insisted that questioning him came with consequences. Her testimony revealed a picture of isolation, pressure, and silence, painting herself not as an equal partner, but as someone trapped within a household where every choice felt dictated by him.
At the time, I didn't know. I thought maybe she was ill and I didn't know about it. I didn't know. We didn't take her, I wasn't allowed to take her to a doctor. If she had some sort of virus or some sort of, I did not know what was wrong with her.
Her defense came down to a single theme. She claimed she had wanted to help her baby, but her husband prevented her from doing so. Tatiana told the jury she felt powerless, insisting she had no choice but to obey him and that her silence was born from fear.
The statute requires that I sentence Mr. Sardi to life without the possibility of parole. Mr. Sardi, you do have a right to appeal, and if you'd like to appeal, you cannot afford an attorney to assist you in that regard.
It was a betrayal unlike any other, a wife taking the witness stand not to defend her husband, but to expose him, to paint him as the villain and shift the weight of tragedy squarely onto his shoulders. Her words at first struck deep. The courtroom listened as Tatiana Fusari described herself as powerless, trapped in a home ruled by fear, unable to save her child from a man she claimed held all control. For a moment, there was sympathy, whispers that perhaps she, too, had been a victim of domination and silence. But sympathy is fragile in a courtroom, and when cross-examination began, the story began to fracture. The prosecutor pressed with precision, cutting into her narrative. If Seth truly dictated every move, why had she never confided in anyone, never asked for help, never even picked up the phone to make an anonymous call? Her answers faltered, weak and inconsistent. She insisted she hadn't realized how sick her baby had become, that she thought the child was simply small for her age. But photographs, projected for the jury to see, told a different story, haunting images of a child who had clearly wasted away, undeniable evidence that shattered her defense. What began as a plea for mercy quickly unraveled into suspicion. Was Tatiana a helpless partner, or was she simply shifting blame to escape the same fate as her husband? And then, the courtroom drama reached its climax. The judge prepared to deliver instructions to the jury, and with it, Tatiana's fate. Her lawyers had staked everything on a single argument, that she had lived under duress, and that her fear of Seth diminished her legal responsibility. If the jury accepted this framing, she might avoid life in prison, perhaps even secure a path to freedom. Tatiana stood motionless, eyes locked on the bench, surely believing her gamble had worked. But then came the devastating twist. In clear, unwavering words, the judge declared the jury would not be allowed to consider duress as a defense. The strategy, the betrayal, the tears, all of it crumbled in that instant. She would be judged not as a victim, but as a full participant in her child's death. The jury deliberated for hours before returning with their decision. Guilty of all charges. And when the sentence was read aloud, it sealed her fate forever. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. Tatiana's face told the story. Her gamble had collapsed. She had turned on her husband, laid every accusation at his feet, and tried to convince the jury that she was merely a victim. But in the eyes of the court, betrayal didn't equal innocence. The verdict was clear. Tatiana Fusari was just as responsible. Beside her, Seth Welch faced the same fate, convicted and sentenced to life behind bars. The couple who once shared a farm, 3 children, and an image of devout family life would now spend their days separated by prison walls, bound only by their guilt. This case was more than just tragedy. It was about accountability, about whether silence and inaction can be excused when a child's life is at stake. Tatiana believed her testimony against Seth would free her, that by exposing him, she could carve a path out of prison. Instead, her decision sealed her destiny. The jury did not see a powerless victim. They saw a mother who failed to act. And so the question remains, Was Tatiana truly an abused woman trapped in fear, or a willing participant who only shifted blame once her world collapsed? Share your thoughts, because in courtrooms, betrayal may alter narratives, but rarely the outcome.